Somebody informed me that there's like a football game on. I don't know, I didn't see anything in the listings, but apparently there's some football game on tonight.
Yeah, that's the thing about DVR, it's nice, I can get it, so I'm good for it.
Can I say four, okay? Can I say it out loud? Oh,
I'm just glad they got there.
there you go. All right, clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Jim Schrader,
Here.
James Cartman, Tom Turk,
Yep.
Jeff Van
Ma'am?
Kim Sears-Packer, Isaiah Crowe, and I'm
All right, I have proof of posting. Will you all join me for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve the agenda. All right, any corrections or changes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the 15th?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any corrections? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah? And I will vote yes. A motion to approve the disbursements. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Abstain.
And I will vote yes. We've got a bunch to talk about. We'll be talking throughout this, so I'll turn it over to Mark.
Sure, just a couple quick points. At the next board meeting, WASB staff will be here to present on the staff survey results that our staff completed in December. I want to say about 82 out of 112 staff completed it. Also in February, once the board, the admin team's gone through some EduClimber training. This is for a data analysis tool that will also help us with our staff with the educator effectiveness. We'll be presenting that to you. Been providing information in terms of the School Accountability Bill Act. There is a hearing, assembly hearing on Assembly Bill number 1 on Wednesday, so stay tuned if you have any information, questions, let me know. January 23rd will be our annual support staff professional development training day. Staff will have a variety of opportunities. Us and Dale are leading one of the sessions for the EAs, and they're also working on nonviolent crisis intervention training, how to de-escalate, help students make better decisions. I think is a better way to put it. Training will be coming in and helping our staff with maintenance and kind of going through concepts just to make sure our buildings are running more efficiently. Then we'll also be doing some safety training, same thing with the food service group. They'll be doing some safety training, but also some working on some preparation. John Donaldson will be working on our second article. He and I met today, District Showcase. If you're interested, or he may reach out to you, or if you'd like to be interviewed by him for the article, just let me know and I can get you in contact with him. So, thank you.
Okay. Public input. Anybody sign up over there, Jim? No. All right. Okay, moving on. District business personnel. Discuss possible action to hire Kimberly Melzer as pupil service curriculum administrative assistant at $17.25 an hour. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Yes.
Sandy? Jeff? Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah? And I will vote yes as well. We have a motion to hire Danielle King as high school musical assistant director for the 14-15 school year musical production with an annual stipend of $1,200.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any questions?
Danielle has worked with us in the past.
Has she? Okay. Good. Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well.
And if you're wondering, they're going to be doing sound and music.
Oh. Do you have a motion to accept the resignation of Brandon Wanless, Assistant Football Coach, with thanks of service since 2011? Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions? Comments? He's a good coach.
Darn.
All right, Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Finance, discuss possible action to renew a 2-year policy with the National Insurance Services for teacher, support staff, custodian eligible for long-term disability coverage. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
We're just switching companies.
No, this company, actually, the first one, the teacher, support staff, and custodians currently have national insurance services.
What does that cost a month?
It's
It's
based
employee
on,
pay.
I'm sorry,
It's
what?
employee pay,
It's employee pay.
so it depends on
So if they're
what coverage
making,
they're electing.
so if they make like 40,000,
It was a
I don't
percentage.
know what our
I
current
think it's .425.
Yeah.
The rate is .425 for their salary. And the employee pays it.
just asking, because the next vote will be a administrators, managers, long-term disability that's covered by the district. And I'm wondering if it didn't impact the budget too much, could it possibly at some point in time be a benefit that we offer to the other staff? I mean, it's just,
That'd be-
Just something
that could
to
be
bring
for
up.
future consideration.
because it's one of the things that I think many of us feel is rather important for all of our staff to have. And if we make it, if we offer it as a additional benefit to the staff, that once again, if it's within our budget, something we can do for everybody.
Other discussion? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Jeff? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah? I'll vote yes as well.
Sorry about that.
Discuss possible action to move the employer-paid long-term disability policy for administrative managers and administrative assistants from Unum to National Insurance Service, 2-year policy. Do you have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Oh, fun one. Discuss possible action to approve JRT roofing contract amendment. Mark, did you want to talk at all about that?
I can take everybody through, just kind of, in a nutshell, in your packet, it's on the web. Basically, we've been negotiating since August. We finally got to a point of saying, okay, how are we gonna wrap this up? JRT made an offer, I countered, and the last document, which, in working with David, we're recommending you take, I can go through some specifics, I can pull this up kind of where it's at. We're recommending that we accept their counter. The issues that were at hand, they wanted to charge us administrative fee for change orders. We believe that that wasn't a part of the contract, they eventually removed that. We also had damage to the grass, we had a quote for $2,500. The final agreement is they would pay $1,500 of it, or give us a $1,500 credit. We'd like this contract to be done. You know, what we could do is say, no, we're not paying until you remedy it, which would be the natural progression, but we'd like this closed. So that credit's okay. Also, that way we get to choose the vendor we want to use and have it restored accordingly. The trade, yes. During the project, we had a smart board damaged. Could have been as bad as $3,000 for a replacement, ended up just being the trade. So, in the end, I just want to show you kind of the change. So the amount that I'm recommending we approve, they did have one typo on their final proposal, which is the previous proposal, but what I'm recommending is that we settle at $850,312.20. Now, what does that mean in terms of the total contract? When we entered into the contract, there were two components, the low bid and the allowance, and I just wanted to make sure everybody's kind of informed of what happened along the way. The other thing that was holding us up was just agreeing on the change orders. So the CO is change order, and as we went along, and we knew some of this would happen, but also in a project as big as it was, we know we'd find some surprises along the way. Access panels, and all these were verified by IRS, our consultant for this. So access panels, we had to move 3 lines of refrigeration. We also had to put them up, so basically instead of just the below blocks, we've got them in a more steady area. But so moving 3 sets of refrigeration lines, that was over $4,300. Taper work, that was expected, but once we didn't know what that would be until the tear-off occurred. So the reason for the taper roof, where it's puddled a lot in the past, this was meant to create, it's still more or less a flat roof, but it's just a roof. One of the areas that we debated strongly about, the masonry roof protection, which was part of the negotiations. My counteroffer suggested that both JRT and the district should have pay for this equally. In the end, we weren't able to get that resolved. That was a tough one. Overtime work, we had 2 overtime, and tried 2 others to help expedite or reduce the amount of displacement. The overtime on the 10th of October, which is change order 6, that was also agreed upon to try to expedite things and try to get the negotiations going. Rotten decking, of course, we don't know until you tear off. That's all been confirmed. We also found just a need, obviously $375 is pretty small for roof repair. Also, when we were doing tear off, improperly supported vent pipes, they tore off. Once again, one of those things that we just find fortunate. They pulled off the roof and the pipes dropped on the floor. No students were in the classroom, but that had to be remedied. So the change orders, we had an allowance of $20,000. The change orders were a total of $30,392.59. And so the current contract, what we did is we added it all up and then we credited the allowance there. So the only thing that's incorrect, we use the pointer here, there's 2 areas, is this is $1,500. In the end, they get to the right component.
So the bottom line is our original bid was $841,000. It's going to end up costing us $850,000, which.
So $9,000 more than approved, or as targeted, if you will. Yep. And so if you look at it, because of the delay in the project, what happened with the masonry roof is that they got out of sequence, started late, the masons were at another site, and so by the time the masons were available, tear-off had occurred, and the protection of the old roof was no longer there. So this is, initially I thought this was just for paying for plywood and plastic and protection. This is the amount of extra time it took to do the mason because it was out of sequence. several different factors. But that's where we're at. The last in the punch list, the only thing IRS has asked our opinion of is there's one seam that Carlisle, which is the roof, the people that warranty the roof, there was a request that one seam be re-adhered. And Carlisle and JRT say it has nothing to do with performance. IRS agrees, but they still ask to get it done. JRT saying no. I mean, that's the only thing, in a sense, in the punch list that, you know, IRS has said it's up to you to decide whether or not you want something done. It would hold up the project right now.
It still hold warranty coverage?
Yeah, warranty holds, it's just cosmetic. So it's been a long process.
I would say on a $750,000 project, to only be over $9,000 is holding pretty
It's okay.
Yeah, that's good. Darn good.
So the recommendation is to approve the addendum. So in this process, you would approve the addendum. We will notify, then I will sign the remaining change orders. And then we start the process of, you know, clearing everything up. Right now, if vendors were to contact you, I have not had, I think I've had 3 major payment requests which are approved by IRS. You've approved the 2 big ones. You know, you've approved them all, but those 2 were out of sequence, and we approved them on second meetings of the month. So now what would happen is this gets summed up, then we'll get another request, final request for payment, and then we get the warranty. Yeah. Don't want to migrate.
Anybody out there? Yes. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Yes. Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim? Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Glad that that's over with. All right, discuss possible action on the commitment of fund balance for future capital projects. Mark, do you want to talk a little more about that as well?
Sure. Okay, so this is, board had requested that, and I want to thank Aaron for the work here, but what would we recommend a commitment for? So I want to kind of give you a couple summaries. The front page, which is page 29 in the packet, is basically the statement. Everything else is backup information. So the front page is a summary. I'll also take a little bit of time to talk about fund balance. You know, I'll also share with the board where our cash positions are. At times you get asked, well, how much money do you have in the account? And, you know, as we've talked about, just because you have an account doesn't mean you can, you know, access it too sometimes. So, created 3, excuse me, I just want to go back here. What I call a capital budget philosophy, which is prioritize, replace, repair, return on investment, education, and safety. And what you see here in this commitment is basically, you know, how we prioritize things. As I've shared with you, we became aware earlier later in the summer, our HVAC has failed. I have in passing, and I do now have a quote for this, midsummer we placed a couple of our windows. Basically, the caulk, when they were installed in '95, did not adhere, and so the wood around the windows is rotted out. That became obvious during a rain event when there was basically in the district office break room, water came through the lowest pane, and there was a significant puddle, on the floor. So that was a wake up. If you're in my office right now, you walk in the morning when heat's gone up, you can see moisture. And I've investigated, I've talked to another vendor this summer, and it's just kind of confirmed that the windows have failed. Middle school, high school pavement, we've talked about that. This is a low estimate. In fact, I think in another place I've called 400. This could go, 450, 500. This is an estimate. I spoke with a vendor today. Depends what work you're doing. If it's just simply replace the pavement, that would be one cost. If it's replace, recondition the base rock, that's another price. The other thing that the vendor shared with me today is that there are some new regulations that may require you to go 8 feet down, essentially create an aquifer or purification system. That's what they did at Kelcher. When they rebuilt Kelcher, they went 8 feet down. And so that's another, some of that depends on proximity to, say, creek. And although we may not see the creek from where we stand, we may be close enough, and I would share that when we did the entrance exit this summer, DNR was reviewing and revising, and there was expectation to mitigate pollution from that project. So I want to put that on your radar. Tech Ed roof, we've repaired it once this summer. That leak continues. This is an anticipated failure. We could try to fix it one more time. We didn't get a favorable quote on the last one, so we're waiting for the spring to see on the repair. And that's something we can handle in budget, but I would think, I've asked IRS for the roofs that, based on the prioritization and their assessment that they did 2 falls ago. Now that we've done in a sense, the gateway projects, I call them gateway projects because the Clear Story as well as Roof 14 are roofs that we could not do in a regular annual budget. But now, based on the segmentation of our roofs, we can, over time, address them as needed. Phone system, safety. A year ago, I heard this a little bit. I think just based on information and everything. We also, our contract and our PRI system, we have the new, I don't want to call it an upgraded system, but we worked with the system. We went from the plain old telephone lines to a almost VoIP system. Too many acronyms, I apologize. Voice over RAIP. That's something I think that would tie in well. The other thing is wireless and IT system development. We will continue to need to put money in. Black Earth HVAC, again, that's set up. And then the middle school, high school HVAC controls. They're identified for replacement, not that we need to do them, but if you said what are the big projects in front of us, this is it next year, but in the next couple of years, this is what we have in front of us. With that said, that's almost $3 million. And, people had asked, what could we do? Well, right now, and that's the backup material, and I don't know how much depth you'd like with the fund balance. I think, Tom, what you share is what you have and what you owe is a good starting point. I mean, the assumption with fund balance is that, in order to liquidate, that means, it ceases to exist, and I don't want to, how should I put it? I don't want to confuse that with a statement. The reality is, you would have to sell things to get money out of the equity that you have.
The difference between what you owe and what you own.
Yep. So, on page 33, this is kind of, in terms of what does fund balance look like for Wisconsin Heights. If you looked at our auditors, they'd say, as of June 30th, 2014, $3.8 million. Our cash balance is 1.8. Understanding, and so how does that look? And Aaron, maybe you want to chime in a little bit. This is our cash. Well, I've got this also outlined. Fund 38, that's debt payment. And you pay for that in October, so that's money you can't touch. Fund 21, it's the student activity accounts. That's not our money to touch. Taxes receivable won't occur until August. If if you, roughly that's the majority of, where we don't have the cash. Then we also get taxes for local government, state government, and we also have to account for liabilities such as future payrolls in the summer. Because we've been trying to address some larger projects, we have grown our fund balance over the last couple of years. Now this is going right to left is the chronological part. The last time we borrowed was December 2010. Otherwise, when are the low months? I just want to emphasize to you, our low months sometimes can be early on as we obviously improved the position. This year is inflated because we didn't build the roof in the spring as planned. Otherwise, that would have been, roughly $1 million. So, this is, I just want to emphasize, that's an inflated number because the project did get done. Otherwise, our low operational months are November and December. Unlike when we get paid, some of us get, in Wisconsin Heights, we get paid twice a month. State employees get paid once a month. The reality is with taxes, we get it basically 3 times a year. We get aid 3 times a year. You can kind of see where that, we have some smaller amounts from the feds trickling in or special projects, but that fundamentally.
So if that top number in July would have been 1 million, does that mean we'd have been at a negative number right here if it would have started that way?
Based on the fact, and understand that this cash position, Aaron, what do we got, 140 million, about 140,000 left on the roof?
Ballpark, yeah.
Ballpark. So IRS and JRT. So, you could, at least 140 less to pay out, and that would have impacted. Well, we spent it though, that's the only thing.
Okay.
I'm not gonna, with the roofing, I guess what I would say is we'd be at 280 if we would have finished the roof.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been a better number. It doesn't, 280 would be our number with the roof paid off. That's a better way to say it.
Well, the biggest point of that is when if you use that 280, and you look down there, we borrowed 111,000.
No. That was negative. That was what we got down to. We didn't borrow 100, and we'll show you what we borrowed.
Oh, I thought you said that was the only time we borrowed.
That's the month we borrowed.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah. If you went back further, you'd see a couple other months. November, prior to 2010, 2011, the business office would tell me, Mark, one, we can't do projects until second semester because we need to get this aid. Aid payment comes middle of January. So
Taxes.
after taxes. So,
I guess my point is, if you take the 140 off of there,
yeah.
and it's down to 280, when you start looking at these big numbers that have been traditional, it shows that. That's what
Built
we're
up,
doing.
we've spent.
We're building up to do this project that we didn't have to do a referendum for,
Right.
850,000,
Right.
and now we're back down to a normal.
Yeah, and also part of this, starting in 2012, 2013, is that we got money this year and this year, one from the utility settlement
Right.
here, and we also got money from the DOT here. So these 2 years, there was essentially, roughly 500,000 added because of a settlement and selling of land. So that's, if you see the difference is, 500,000. So if you look here, because, this roof was 300, this is 200, up 200,000. So this is 1.3 because the roof wasn't built, minus 500. If we don't get money from the DOT, we're starting the year at 800,000 there. This year, you can see, here's the difference between here and here is the Black Earth Utility Settlement. that we haven't spent yet. We started here, the money was in hand. This would be for the but for the roof 15 or the library roof. So, but people would ask, well, how did it get so much higher? That's why. What does it look like? So in 2010, we borrowed for 21 days. It cost us $192.50. What we did here is we said, okay, at today's interest rates, and I think everybody knows they're at all-time lows. So what we did was we created a scenario. This is what it would be this year. If they were to double, this is what it would cost, in a sense. So what this tells you is if we go down to 25% fund balance, we would be borrowing at basically, let's see, I guess we said at 60 days and 90 days. If we had to borrow $500,000 for 60 or 90 days, it would cost us $1,000 or $1,100. If the rates doubled, this is what it would cost. So to be at 25%, which, as we talk about commitment and all this, we've identified the Mazamani HVAC, the pavement, the windows. That's another meeting. That's a February meeting. But based on the commitment, we'll be coming back and saying, okay, can we go ahead and bid these projects and see how we do in terms of getting those done? And that ballpark gets us down to $2.5 million in fund balance. So we would be hitting, and again, this is separate from the fund commitment, but I wanted to give you a scenario. If we went down to $2.5 million fund balance, what would it cost us? Well, if we double today's interest rates, about $22 million. I didn't want people to think that, oh, it's not going to cost us anything. But on the other hand,
Well, it forces us to borrow again.
it forces us to borrow,
Yeah.
correct, yep. Yeah, but the other thing I wanted to point out, the recommendation is basically a $3 million commitment. The reality is, and granted, these are, you still have to bid all these projects, so change this number a little bit. But, work for the future, roughly $6.2 million. We can, I would hope, some people would ask, are you dealing with any of this in the actual budget? And so this is similar to what you have in the commitment, but we basically, on an annual basis, roofing is $100,000. Next year, we won't do it just because we have other projects. Capital projects right now, $200. So I just said, well, if we didn't, this basically runs out. We're starting at 3.8. Roofing, I rounded that a little bit. This is more or less where we're starting. If we did all these things, maintaining some expenditures in the budget where it can be handled, that's where we'd be at. Now, I'm not recommending we do all these, but, on the other hand, probably about $6.3 million. We've got things to do over time, and that's just a whole nother planning reminder that, what do we do in the future to make sure our buildings are safe and provide a good educational setting. So, kind of going back to the fund balance commitment concept. And then, I know some people had asked, how are we going to share this out? I would say we probably include some of this in our February newsletters. The fund balance, why we, what's going ahead, what's the board's plan.
Is that, have you heard any more about the proposal on the fund balance and?
Nothing right now. The accountability bill is everything that's being discussed.
Okay.
This, by say, identify these and committing towards this says the board has a plan.
If it's reviewed on an annual basis, is there ever an end to this commitment? If we need, I mean,
Yeah,
if it would help us in a different direction.
You know, there's a couple options. You know, obviously, a bond referendum is an option. There's a energy efficiency law that we could finance some of this stuff over time. But the reality is there will always be that next project, and it's just be, you know, how do you plan for it? And as I showed, we have $300,000 a year. You know, this is, if we use that as a number, $300,000 a year, and these are, you know, on target, we're talking about 10 years of maintenance right here. And that's, I think that's difficult to do within a budget.
So if we commit to any of this or all of this or whatever, do we have to follow through then in order to?
Well, what I'm saying is that the motion that I put there is when it's economically feasible. I mean, you've got a policy that says you're gonna operate at 2.5, you know, 25%, which for us is 2.5 million. Now, they could pass a law and say all fund balances must be 15%. Well, then I would argue, you know, if there are other reasons for that, I would say, well,
We're already committed.
we're committed for it. But the reality is, all those, how should I put it? All those projects need board approval to happen. I mean, this is
Regardless of the motion that we.
Right.
correct. I mean, you can't, I mean, one person, whether it's one of 7 or one of 1, you know, think about it. This is a decision we make together, or you make based on that information.
Well, yeah.
You know,
It's just saying
it's committing
we're
to a
budgeting.
plan.
Right.
And that's why I put if it's economically feasible.
Right. We're planning for it 5 years around, and in the future, it might change, and we have to do it differently.
I mean, the reality is, right now, you have 3 failures up there. You know, some people may say, well, could we do this, you know, with the pavement? I'll tell you that we've been patching it every year. And, you know, we've been talking about for a while. The other 2, and
Can't we just overcoat with like another 2 inches of asphalt over our entire,
the current pavement is not stable.
is that what it is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it needs base repairs.
You have to verify that the base is okay. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not an expert, but based on all the patches, it's, yeah. And even more so in the high traffic area. The high traffic area is noticeably different. And, you know, what could you do to verify that before we move forward on it? We can have someone come out and take a course. Absolutely. I mean, if that's, you know, the other question, what type of information do you need to move forward on the pavement? Well, we can core it out. I mean, it's, you know, that's not free, but if that helps someone make a better decision, then we should do it. You know, that gives people a reason, no, this is why it's not working. But the overcoat, it's not stable.
Okay. I'm gonna cover that back up.
I'm still seeing dots from last time.
I'm moving for the next one.
We have a motion. Yeah, we have a motion. Read it as you got it wrote through.
Well, if that's the motion you would like to make, yes. Well, yeah. And just with the fund balance policy, it also says once you're under 25%, the board has to develop a strategy to get back over. And the reason why we're at where we're at is, one, you know, we're trying to figure out how to build the 2 roofs that we have. We've done that without a referendum. But it is also the ability at 2.5, And I use this example in larger districts. If the district has a operating budget of 100,000, 15% is 15 million. You can fix a couple things with a fund balance of 15 million. Now, 15% of 10 million, that's a much smaller number. You just can't get as much stuff.
And the whole purpose of this is due to the whole list of the UW that had been.
Right, it's been discussed, right, yep.
This isn't something that we want to do just to, oh my gosh, we got money, let's
No.
spend it, because it isn't about that, and we don't have the money. But we do have the fund balance, so if it does come around, just policy, be aware that if it comes around, that we have to lower the 25% in the policy, we may have to do that. If it becomes a state mandated issue,
This helps us protect us from that.
it does. All right, does anybody want to make a motion?
It allows us to keep it control.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion as printed on page 29 to pursue the completion of the, want me to read it all?
Yes, please.
The district pursue the completion of the following projects and commit funds to address the identified capital projects in compliance with the district's fund balance policy and in a manner that minimizes short-term borrowing when annual budgets cannot fund the capital projects. Also recommend that the commitment of Wisconsin Heights School District fund balance be reviewed on an annual basis.
Okay, motion on the table, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
It's page 29.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah? Yes. And I will vote yes as well. A motion to accept a donation by the Wisconsin Heights Picnic Booster of 2 portable and adjustable basketball hoops to be used at the Black Earth Elementary at an estimated value of $1,900. Do I have a second? Second.
Thank you very much.
Yes, big thank you. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff? Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah? Yes. I'll vote yes as well. All right, referendum discussion. We have 2 things to talk about and to vote on. One is the actual resolution, and then the other one is approval to put the question on the ballot. So what we need to talk about is, to me, is a 2-year or a 3-year referendum.
Correct, and those resolutions are on page 40 and page 70.
And everything in between.
Well, yeah, yes, and with two options, everything had to be in the package. So the one thing is, regardless of a 2 or 3 year, that doesn't impact the amounts of the first 2 years. So, if you go 2 years, the amounts are the same
As the first 2 years.
years of the 3. So I just wanted to be clear there. We did have a little bit of levy room with some changes, as I had shared with the board, and we had delayed in December. Milwaukee has gotten their budget in. There's actually other districts that for some reason do not have their budgets in yet and approved by the DPI. For the first year of the referendum, for a $200,000 house, that would be an additional $90. For the second year of a referendum, it would be $88, so it's the 90 plus 88. It's an additional $88. And in the current situation, we are still assuming we haven't added any students. We've just based our future FTEs based on what we've had year to date, based on actual students, not projections. If the number of students in the district were to go up, that would help to a point, 1% increase would help. Actually, a 2% would be about the same as a 1% because of the formula. So that's, in a nutshell, those are the two options again. Year 1 and 2 are the same. The third year, as we had talked, what would a third year do? It would give us an opportunity to study our facilities a little bit more. But, I think, in the past, every time we've gone, it's because the board, everyone has supported it. It's been a 7-0. And, people have talked about why they can support it. And then people have come together and said, okay, this is the option that we'll support. This isn't the first time we've talked about 3 years. But, here we are again 2 years later. It is, unless something changes in the funding formula, this is educational funding in Wisconsin.
What's the third year?
Third year costs $80.
So 90, 88, is that?
90, 88, and 80. And there's no, if you were to say 2, that the only thing that would change year 3 numbers would be a change in formula, a change in funding, things as such. So it's not like sometimes where you hear something's on sale, for today only. That doesn't impact next year. We've always tried, as we formed the dollars, it's what we need, and also trying to balance. From a budget standpoint, we actually run a deficit budget the first year, but the increase would be that much higher, and so we kept it down. With a 2-year budget, with some of the changes, we would be running a balanced budget into over 2 years.
That's pretty much everybody I've talked to is, maintain what we got, with balance capital. I haven't had anybody say no to the 3 years that I've talked to.
I haven't either, but the one thing that I like about a 2-year versus a 3 is things are changing so rapidly at the state funding level that I don't like to go out too far where it could either A, tie our hands, or B, be asking for money that all of a sudden we find out we don't need, which I know that's a pipe dream.
Way to think positive.
There's one district in the state that went for there's one district in the state that went for a recurring referendum that didn't think they did. So they actually have too much money.
Oh, really?
So they just levy accordingly.
Oh. But that's my thing, and we've had success at the 2-year.
Yeah.
I think people,
They're more comfortable at
yes,
2 years.
yes.
Mark, when you gave the numbers of 90, 88, and 80, yet, which indicates decrease in amount that we owe, but yet the amount that we need goes up. Can you explain
Right.
why that
It's
happens?
part of the formula. It's the formula.
Don't have to get too specific.
Sure. What happens is the ratio between taxes and aid. And
Well, don't we pay off some debt that we have?
don't worry
No,
about,
he's that, okay.
don't worry about that one. The next referendum, we'll probably have, I think the track and lights will come off, but that's actually a pretty small part. 30,000 is 30,000, don't
Well,
get me
yeah,
wrong.
right.
But, otherwise, we're very low debt. The only things that we've got are the track and lights and then paying off the HVAC, which we're doing with, energy savings. But, Jim, the best way to put it is why the different numbers, even though the amounts goes up, it's the ratio of aid and taxes, the proportion of that.
Can I mention that it's
across all the 9 municipalities in the district, so that's on an average across the municipalities. So some may be higher, some may be lower, it depends between the municipalities. So that's not a set in stone that that's exactly what your rates would go up.
Yeah.
So just, it's an average across all 9 municipalities.
And changes in the pieces of the pie, the biggest impact for municipalities will be is if the net worth is greater, they get a bigger piece of the district pie, then they are responsible for funding more of the district.
And that's determined by the Department of Revenue.
Yeah,
Based
yeah.
on the equalized value in the district, that's not up to us.
That's a yearly component, and the other part will be the assessment ratio. Thanks, Aaron.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Like I said, I'm in favor of a 2-year. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I'd like to kind of get a consensus before we make a motion to know where people are thinking. So, anybody wants to speak up?
I think to me, the important thing isn't 2 or 3. It's what we all feel,
Yes.
so that we're in
Right.
a unified front here.
Yep.
And if I recall, Tom, if you don't run again, you don't have to worry about that 7th year anyway.
Well, I do because I'm still a taxpayer.
Just wanna put everything.
You're a good man.
With Black Earth, just going up by leaps and bounds this last time. Keep throwing numbers in there. Might be a little tough to justify for people I've talked to. So 2 seems pretty good.
Yeah, the way Tom presented it, I can argue with it all, and that's the way most everybody I've talked to. You know, they're not against 3, but they're not, comes back, this is what's worked.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea just to kind of, like I said, you don't know what's going to happen with the funding formulas. I don't want to tie our hands, just in case we get the shaft in a couple of years. You never know. Doubt it, but
My numbers could get them.
yeah. I don't know if we can get any worse, can we? So, anyways, do I have a motion? Anybody want to make a motion on the referendum?
I will, Tom.
Okay.
Page 40.
Yep.
How's that? Did you say page 40?
It's probably best to read that one, this one, people ask.
I'll tell you what, I'll read it and then you can make the motion. I have a motion to be it resolved by the School Board of the Wisconsin Heights School District, Dane and Iowa Counties, Wisconsin, that the revenues included in the school district budget be authorized to exceed the revenue limit specified in section 121.91 Wisconsin statutes by $1,425,000 for the 2015-16 school year, and by $1,825,000 for the 2016-17 school year for non-recurring purposes.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. What did a shock Jim had
That surprised you.
See how much fun we have on the school board? All right, number 2, resolution providing for a referendum election on the question of the approval of a resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit for up to 3 years for non-recurring purposes.
You can read that as before 2 years. You can have a motion for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So that is on page 70. Do I have a motion?
No.
Oh.
You want to change it so it says 2 years.
Yeah, so what you would want is on page 41,
Right.
Oh, okay.
title.
Sorry.
Just say you got
That's okay. I don't mean to be too
Nope,
fussy.
No.
gotta get it right.
That was a surprise.
It's on 41, right?
Yep, 41.
All right. Everything in those first 2 columns, right? First 2 paragraphs?
Correct.
Am I reading that correctly?
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve whereas the school board of the Wisconsin Heights School District, Dane and Iowa Counties, Wisconsin, the district, has heretofore duly adopted a resolution entitled Resolution Authorizing the School District Budget to Exceed Revenue Limit for 2 years for non-recurring purposes, the revenue limit resolution. And whereas the school board deems it to be desirable and in the best interest of the district to direct the district clerk to submit the question approved in the revenue limit resolution to the electors for approval or rejection at the regularly scheduled election to be held on April 7th, 2015. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. Jim?
Yes.
James?
Yeah.
Sandy?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yep.
Kim?
Yes.
Isaiah?
Yes.
And I will vote yes as well. All right, moving on. Board work session on 14-15 board goals. I heard Oregon is up 21-0. I'm just saying. So I throw that out for you.
I'm going to the car after this.
All right, it starts on page 91. So, continuing discussion on board goals.
I mean, part of this is checking in questions as well as, you know, like with EduClimber, the other part that I've talked about before, we'll be able to provide you some data, and that will help you plan for 15-16. But I guess my question is, you know, the first 2 deal with the achievement perspective, so checking in any work to be done in positive promotion of the district, its accomplishments, and then, you know, board attendance and participation. I guess that's more of a reflective question, how's everybody doing? And then facilities, you know, just kind of going from there. Things we need to work on, things we're seeing.
What have we done as a school on the website to promote where we've been ranking in Dane County as far as?
Do you want me to pull this up?
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys can't leave, the fun's just starting. You too.
I agree. Turn off.
I wonder why I wasn't blinded yet.
Just wait till it comes up.
It's got, yeah.
Bam.
Here, Tom, over your head, right?
I know. I see the audience half the time.
Here you go.
I know.
So, the highlights, On the left side, we always have the monthly newsletter, Board of Education media information, 50-year celebration, Vanguard Voice, school performance report card, your other left. Yep,
So that's scoreboard.
so,
You're right, it's not.
yeah.
Yeah, it worked, see? Where are you going next?
Brings right up here.
The other thing we could add if we wanted to is a wise dash.
Is what?
Wise dash, it's the new wins. So we got that. You know, everything you've been talking about here will probably, and Penny and I try to meet weekly, if not more, you know, just, are we current? What needs to be good? And here are the other quick links. We've got food service up here, course book, to get to 15, 16.
Has the district's office voicemail been changed?
We haven't changed the voice.
Expect that you know it's Lisa. You talk to Lisa all the time, so it just was.
What is that what I did?
Are you volunteering to change it, Kim? So
My
it can
voice
be your
isn't
voice?
that good.
So are there other things you'd like to see? Penny, where did we add the Twitter?
Oh, go to your webpage.
Oh, my webpage. I think we should just have it on the front.
Wait a minute, this took me a long time this morning to figure out.
So.
There you go.
Hey, there's
there you go.
regulations. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
Oh, wait a minute, worked earlier. Mine worked. Yeah, mine works. There it is.
Oh,
It,
do it again.
Didn't we tell you, Mark?
no, when you do the little Twitter, the little bird has to be only so big, so there's regulations on that, and there's also regulations that when you click on the little bird, which it just worked for me, well, I don't know why it's not working for you, but it's working for me up here. It goes to your Twitter page, and then there's also requirements, as you'll see the little bird, and then at WHSD underscore SUPT. That's what we have to put. I don't know why your little bird's not working, but my little bird's working.
They shot it.
I'm thinking,
Pellet gun.
I don't know.
See, your little bird's working up here.
Okay.
It's too big up here.
I don't
I
know
don't know
why
what
this
you're
isn't.
saying about regulations.
So that's there.
You're on his page.
Yeah, I can do it. I can go to his,
Mine works too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we were getting blocked.
Maybe there's too many of us doing it.
So,
So next there will be, Rich will have one as soon as I work with him to get his.
so,
up and going.
so if there's a game cancellation, people or rescheduling. It's a little easier than I expected.
So you have your own tab up there, do they see?
Come on, you know, tweets.
Yeah.
Oh, to the district, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe she is, I don't know, I'm not in that part of it.
Yeah.
You got hashtag it.
Hashtag.
Yeah. Hashtag go Oregon.
I know she does.
You gotta put your
Yeah.
things here.
Hey, you got the wrong hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other, we also have a new residence. Area, kind of update,
Yeah.
so.
That's
Some, the buttons we have up here are just kind of where people.
And the community
One-click
now has
access
the
as
Wolf
opposed
Run
to-
Trail.
Yeah.
What would happen if we took the, if we put a tab up on top, up there for school performance? Just to highlight it more?
Or maybe one that just says why Wisconsin Heights.
Yeah,
Something you just roll that into. So if somebody's looking at it, why?
it just depends on, if you look at when we built it, it was based on these groups. These are all
Okay,
certain groups.
okay.
This is over here, oops, sorry. The left side,
Hey, look at that.
the left side is meant for, this is the this is, this is all the important stuff.
Okay.
So the left column is meant to be the most important stuff, the PR stuff, if you will.
Okay.
Stuff on the right is, in a sense, procedural, like food service, you know, just, you go right there, you got it, that type of deal. And the middle's meant for, you know, updating that.
Not big items.
Okay.
That help, or did you have?
Yep, no, that's what I was,
That was very nice.
yeah.
Excellent.
All right, is there any other board comments on, or questions, or anything about the goals we drafted on October 27th? Everybody is okay with where we're at? The way things have shaped up towards our goals?
Can we set a date to return to these goals and check them a year from, in October, do we have, maybe when we got a slack one,
Yeah.
slacker one?
Well, I think we'll need to look at them again after this school year is up,
Right, or, well, even in the,
over the summer.
yeah, May and June.
May and June,
Yeah,
yeah.
some of that, I mean, the 5, obviously with some of the stuff you did tonight, with the commitment, you know what the big projects are.
Right.
And we'll be starting to look at the, you know, the things that can be handled within the budget type of
Right.
deal. So,
Before
Yeah.
before the annual meeting or something like that, and then review after.
I wouldn't even want to do that late.
For summer, you think?
Yeah, I would think
Oh,
right,
okay.
right as school is getting out, or right, you know, right in that arena time.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, because the financial time and everything come up and with kind of starting in the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
All right. Moving on. Future meetings. Any committees need to?
we do need, we got there's a policy that we need to update and do for, yeah. And then we have a couple medical ones that Vivian and I need to just touch base on that.
They have nothing.
Yeah.
For a very long time.
So if we want to do it on the 26th, is that okay, at 6:30?
26, 6:30? Thank you.
I'd like to meet with the public relations.
Yep.
Also,
When would you like to do that?
um,
Do you want to wait until the February 9th meeting, or do you want to do it, I mean, basically my Monday nights are off. I leave them open for
Yeah.
anything, so.
Well, yeah, I think that would be, since we're coming up here. Could we have 2 meetings, Mark? But you would like to be involved in both.
Yeah.
I suspect you. So the 9th would be fine.
Okay, 6:30? Okay. Mark, you got that?
We are on the 9th.
Yep. And you'll work with Rob for an agenda?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be.
With curriculum, the one announcement I didn't make, we're still waiting, and Amy, feel free to chime in. We've got a couple more texts for the middle school, high school that have come in, so they'll review those. We're waiting for grades 3 through 5 everyday math. That will probably happen, we're hoping to get some information in March. So we're kind of holding back on the math right now, and we're moving forward with the language arts. So we're starting that up, we're doing some needs, looking at the process, needs identification, and then Amy will start meeting with the staff by grade level or by department to do the review and ask, what does that look like. We're also on the March early release day, half of the time will be spent in content areas, K-12 content areas. And this is the teachers have come up with that, that's part of their teacher-directed day. So half the time will be to connect K through 12, and then there's 7 teachers that made some recommendations, and so the other half of the day, there'll be teachers will select one out of 7 topics to attend.
Okay, any other meetings? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to state statute 19.85, parent 1, parent C? Consideration, employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. So moved. Do I have a second? Thank you. Jim?
Yes.
James? Sandy? Jeff? Kim? Isaiah? I'll vote yes as well. Thank you all for coming.